I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're stepping into the dazzling yet deceptive world of a powerful book. It is called Love and Illusion. It is the latest novel by Michal Mankin. Set in the dynamic backdrop of 1960s London, this psychological thriller follows Emily, a young woman seeking love, independence, and self-discovery, only to be drawn into a dark web of betrayal and manipulation. With twists of romance, suspense, and dark humor, Love and Illusion is a gripping tale that'll keep you turning the pages. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below the interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Mickey, thank you so much for joining us here today on
Thank you for
Spotlight.
inviting me. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Is Emily's journey and her story, is it purely fiction? Is it based on somebody you might know in part? Tell us a little bit about how you came up with her story.
Well, I think all novels partly have something of an author in them and their experiences, because
Mhm.
that's what you know about. I think very much the upbringing of Emily was something that I know about and which I had in my life. A lot of it is fictional, I hope. I have worked with abused women with a
Mm.
charity, and so I learned a lot about the situation. And as a woman, I obviously take a lot of interest in it.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And there's a counterpart, if you will, to Emily, and that is Seth, who is an enigmatic and ultimately deceptive figure in her life. Talk to us a little bit about his character, what makes it so compelling, and of course, dangerous as well.
Well, Seth, Emily met him when he was working at the university, London University, where she was studying, and he was the librarian, and he was a total charmer. He's very charismatic. He talks the talk. He's polite. He makes Emily think well of
Mhm.
herself. And unfortunately, this is not actually the reality of his personality. There is a much darker side, which only comes out after she marries him, and then she discovers the true nature of the man that she has decided to spend her life with.
We all find out about that awful alter ego once we're married. Like if
Yes,
somebody warned us
unfortunately.
before,
And
right?
some people are very good at hiding their thing until they've got what they want out of life.
Exactly, especially the very
Whether it's
charming
man or
ones.
woman, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
watch out for them. The novel is set in London's 1960s. I think it's a wonderful era and a beautiful time in the city. Tell us why you decided to set the novel in that era.
London in the 1960s was called Swinging London.
Mhm.
It was really the cultural and center of the world at the time, fashion and huge movements. It was all happening. There was the drug scene, the music scene, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. It was all happening in London. The fashion was out of this world. And also, it was a period of a cusp when society was changing fundamentally. Uh, the place of women was changing in society quite dramatically,
Yeah,
partly because of the pill,
yeah.
which gave women freedom to decide where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. Um, Unfortunately, not everybody benefited from what was happening. It depended very much on your background and your parents, or how supportive they were, how much you were prepared to uh, challenge the what had happened before. And so it was a very difficult period for many, very exciting though.
Yeah. It was the hippie movement. It was the sexual revolution. It was the era of the
Precisely.
Vietnam War. Don't trust anybody over 30. What happened in London was happening in New York, was also happening in Los Angeles and other parts of the globe as well. It was a time of evolution for women because they were starting to work. They were breaking through glass ceilings. And like you said, their relationships evolved as well. Do you see parallels to today? Are today's women still evolving? Are they still presented with as many opportunities as they were back in the 1960s when things were getting better for women?
Well, I think in the 1960s, the women didn't have many opportunities given to them. They had to fight tooth and nail for them. It was literally just the beginning. The glass ceiling was very, very, very low. Things have improved. Women, in many ways, are overtaking men in educationally and in a lot of opportunities to work, but there's still a long way to go. Women often still earn less for an equivalent job than a man, and there's still discrimination. While the older generation, you've got the All Boys Network, certainly in the UK, and women have to somehow overcome this. So it's still very much a work in progress.
Yeah.
But much improved on where it was.
Absolutely. And the same is true with civil rights for African Americans in this country and other minorities. And the same might be true in London as well, that
absolutely
progress has been made, but there's a long way to go as well.
Yes.
Let's give the folks at home an overview of the story of Love and Illusion.
Right. What I wanted to show was that anybody can become abused in their marriage or in their relationship. It doesn't matter what your background is. Some people seem to think that rich women or women from good homes will not be abused. They've got the knowledge, a savoir-faire to avoid it. But that is not true. Abuse in the home, domestic situation, is as prevalent today as it was then or 100 years ago or even 200 years ago. I think that is a very sad situation. I think in the workplace, things have moved on dramatically. At least on paper, you cannot discriminate. You cannot abuse. And women can fight. They can go to court. They can take their employer to court. The police will support them. But in the home, it's a very different matter. And I know that certainly 50, 60, 70 years ago, approximately 2 women a week in this country were killed by their partner, whether husband or boyfriend, whatever. And the situation is still exactly the same today. So that is exactly the same. People can't, the police or etc., can't stop what is going on in the home. So that, unfortunately, it's very sad to say, but I don't think it has improved much. And having worked with an organization which deals with battered wives and abused wives, they say that there's no diminution in the numbers of people coming forward. But what has changed is that if you are prepared to go to the police, if you do go to your priest or your rabbi or your imam, they will give you some support and maybe a lot of support. Whereas in the 60s, they just said, oh, well, you married him, go home.
Yeah.
You made your bed, lie on it. And
exactly.
that is...
Or you're told by the priest that you can't afford to get divorced, or...
Well, yes, and it was a huge stigma in those days. Divorce in all areas of society. Women did get divorced, men did get divorced, but it was stigmatized.
Oh, sure. Particularly in the 1960s, if you were a divorcee, that was a big deal. That was a big deal.
That's right. And if you went to the police, they say, well, it's a domestic matter, nothing to do with us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, things have improved, but not fully. And I just think we live in a more violent society right now. So while women do have more rights today, I think the escalation of violence is visible in the home as well as in our schools, our houses of worship, and in the streets, unfortunately.
That's right.
As we look around, it's a frightening, frightening scene out there in many cases. Have you envisioned Love and Illusion as a film, perhaps?
Well, I would love to. If anybody's interested in making it. I have a daughter who lives in Los Angeles, and she is in the film world. And I've sort of suggested it to her. I don't think she knows anybody in the right situation, but some people have said to me it will make a very good film. But I know nothing about those matters. But if anybody wants to offer, I'm prepared to listen.
That's great. Well, you put the work out there. That's job one. Once you create the work, you never know whose hands it's going to wind up in. So Hollywood, if you're listening, here's a book that would be a terrific movie, no doubt. Tell me a little bit about your writing career. This is not your first book, is it?
I haven't really got a writing career. I've got another book in the pipeline, so to speak. It's with a literary agent at the moment, which is totally different. It's not a novel. I have something what in England we call an allotment, which is a plot of land which you rent by the year, and you can grow your own fruit and vegetables. And I've got one of those, and it is very good fun. I get a lot of fruit and vegetables. It's very beautiful, and I've written a very funny book about it, which I have illustrated profusely because I'm an artist by profession. So I'm hoping to get that published shortly, but we'll see. And I also am writing another novel, which is sort of 3/4 down, totally different from
What will that center on? What would that be about?
It's about 4 women who come together because they complain about the dirty streets of London, which are very dirty. And they pick up the litter. And it's the story of the 4 women. Each has got their own problems and their own issues, and it talks about their various issues. Yes.
Sounds great. Tell us a little bit about your artistic career. You're surrounded there by your sketchings and your paintings. It looks like watercolor is your medium of choice.
No, I never use watercolor. Funnily, I use almost everything. Oil. The one behind me, which you can see, that is embroidery and acrylic.
Okay. All right. My ignorance.
But I'm very eclectic in my. It's mainly based on the landscape. I went to university, and I have a degree in fine art and also a master's in history of art. So that is very much my field, my forte. And the writing came, a lot of the writing came, well, I did a lot of writing, and also lockdown, like with everybody else, and COVID, sort of you're bored out of your mind. So I started writing a lot.
Sometimes being bored is a good thing. It's the mother of invention.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what my mother always said. Necessity is the mother of invention. So great. Wonderful. Well, the name of the book we've been talking about today is called Love and Illusion. It is a novel by Michal Mankin. It is set in the dynamic backdrop of the 1960s in London. It is a psychological thriller that follows Emily, a young woman seeking love and independence and self-discovery, only to be drawn into a dark web of betrayal and manipulation with twists of romance, suspense, and dark humor. Love and Illusion is a gripping tale that'll keep you turning those pages. Mickey, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much for talking to me.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.